Community building, in urban farming, is a field of urban farming and urban agriculture practices directed toward the creation or enhancement of community between individuals within a given area, neighborhood, or city, or between groups of people with common interests from urban farming. Community building is about improving or creating a sense of community among a group of individuals. A true community is something far more than a collection of individuals who happen to be living in the same neighborhood, or town, or even a group of individuals that happen to share common interests. Urban farming supports the creation of communities where people care about each other and are committed to each other. Their commitments may stem from the fact that they live in a common area and have come to care about each other in the process of learning to create green and sustainable spaces for the development and the upgrading of the community. Their commitments might also stem from the fact that they share some common environmental, social, health, or food security concerns, and have come to care about each other in the process of learning to address those concerns through the development of urban farming practices and projects. In urban farming, a community is a reflection of the fact that people care about each other and are committed to each other's well-being. The community includes things such as the connections, the relationships, the common values, and the sense of being a part of something beyond ourselves. Building communities is a crucial process that fosters relationships and connections amongst people, and creates infrastructures for these connections to develop. Urban farming projects can create bonds between individuals and groups of different ages, places, cultural, and financial backgrounds. Furthermore, they can create spaces for people to strengthen their sense of trust with each other. Urban farming projects can become collective safe spaces for experience and knowledge sharing. Sharing practices, skills, sentiments, and experience is a very empowering practice that can turn into a source of motivation, inspiration, learning, and support for the people in the community. In urban farming projects, collective learning and collective implementation mean collective growth and opportunities. Furthermore, people are coming together, cooperate, engage in common actions and goals, and become more visible to authorities. In urban farming projects, common values, ideas, and value-driven experiences can support the members of a community to grow and transform. Numerous urban farming projects and initiatives use vacant, underdeveloped, or underused urban spaces, upgrading and beautifying them, providing safe spaces for community gatherings, enhancing the sense of safety in the neighborhood, and cultivating a greater sense of community. Urban farms can provide an attractive and welcoming space for neighbors to gather, interact with each other, volunteer their workforce and time, or just enjoy themselves. Many urban farms and community gardens incorporate gathering spaces within their overall site plan. These projects may include educational, recreational, and physical activities that bring together local residents and contribute to community building. Urban farming projects can foster a sense of community. Urban farms and community gardens link different sectors of the city, youth and elders, and diverse race, ethnic, and socio-economic groups, in pursuit of a common goal. Research indicates that communities with high participation gardens and farms have reduced rates of crime, trash dumping, fires, violent deaths, and mental illness, and even increased voter registrations and civic responsibility. In many cases, community-based urban farming projects give the opportunity to vulnerable and marginalized groups to integrate socially and harmoniously into the community. There are numerous examples of projects where groups such as migrants, refugees, Roma, minorities, people of color, NEETs, but also treated drug addicts, or ex-convicts, participate in urban farming projects and programs aiming at their integration or reintegration, such as community gardens, social urban farms, and social cooperatives. Participation in these types of activities has been shown to improve the self-image and self-esteem of the participants, improve their social skills, their communication, and relations with the rest of the community. Inclusion and active participation of all members of a community, and working in groups, is particularly important for community building and fostering a sense of belonging. In this way, mechanisms of social exclusion are not reproduced, and conditions are created for the development of social relations and the participation of all members of the community. Greater participation offers the greatest possible use of the knowledge, experience, potential, and skills of all citizens, strengthening the human capital of a community. The majority of community-based urban farming projects are directly related to training participants in the cultivation of vegetables, fruits, aromatic plants, and herbs. Participants learn in practice, methods, and techniques of cultivation, care, and harvesting of the products. The new practical knowledge enhances both the knowledge capital and human capital of a community, strengthening its building in better conditions. Several community-based urban farming programs and projects offer income opportunities to participants through the direct sale of produce to consumers or to small businesses and restaurants in the area. This opportunity creates strong and cost-effective local food chains with quality organic produce of specific origins. In addition, these chains enable consumers and businesses to save income, while restaurants are able to buy cheaper or higher quality products and attract more customers, thanks to fresh and high quality ingredients. The opportunities for lower costs, income generation, and improved quality of products and services for community members creates a core of shared green and sustainable interests that enhances community building. Several community-based urban farming projects offer opportunities for knowledge, training, development of skills and competencies, and their utilization in the labor market. There are many cases where precariously employed people, unemployed or people belonging to vulnerable groups, participating in urban farms, community gardens, or social urban farms and projects, found employment opportunities in urban farms, small enterprises, or supply food chains in their community or city. There are also specialized community-based projects and programs aimed at bringing vulnerable groups into the labor market through urban farming. These projects and programs create a chain of solidarity and training that contributes to community building through strengthening the labor market and the inclusion of vulnerable groups in the community workforce. Urban farming projects give the chance to residents from both developed and underdeveloped neighborhoods, having greater access to healthy, affordable vegetables, herbs, and fruits. Local food from urban farms or community gardens is very fresh, since the food does not need to travel long distances before being purchased and consumed. Urban farms and gardens can distribute their products and provide better access to communities through farm stands, farmers markets, box schemes, and community-supported agriculture. Better access to healthy food and upgrading the food lifestyle of the community can actively help in community building by seeking to improve the well-being and health of residents. There are very few studies focusing on the role that communities and residents play in the sustainability of urban agriculture projects, especially regarding non-commercially oriented initiatives. However, several studies argue that the role of community is very crucial in the implementation of urban farming activities within urbanized areas, as the demand for green spaces development increases. At the same time, experts argue that urban farming projects are most viable if they have the support of local communities. The success and sustainability of urban agriculture projects depends on many factors, such as economic factors related to the economic viability of the projects, political factors related to the policies, strategies, and attitudes of authorities and stakeholders towards urban agriculture initiatives, as well as organizational and social factors. Some of the most important factors are the perception and involvement of the local community. Active community participation indicates the power and control of the community in decision-making, according to its demands for environmental justice and community interdependence for better well-being. Some studies highlight the importance and role of community participation and engagement for the viability and empowerment of urban farming projects. In some cases, research has shown, with regard to social urban farms and self-harvesting gardens, that their success and sustainability depends on the service-focused relationship between urban farmers and consumers who are interested in knowledge and skills acquisition, linked to self-reliance. On the other hand, there is evidence that consumer and community participation is essential for the viability of intercultural gardens and community gardens. Furthermore, several experts admit that community-based urban agriculture projects need community involvement and participation to survive and thrive. Without community involvement, community non-commercial and commercial farming projects may be vulnerable to vandalism, poor resources, and lack of participation, or more organized forms of community resistance. Most importantly, community engagement helps align farm services with the needs and desires of neighborhood residents. Urban agriculture projects and activities are closely linked to the commitment and awareness of urban communities to conserve and protect natural resources for future development through the creation of green spaces in their neighborhoods. Access to food supplies and health knowledge among communities will also provide positive effects on the number of urban community participation in urban agriculture. Important elements are also the level and depth of community engagement. People responsible for urban farming initiatives can be socially active in existing movements and actions in a region, and can take advantage of existing networks of interested citizens to support an urban farming project. The character and history of a region also plays a role, as in areas with greater social movements activity and mobilization of residents, it is easier to have a greater and deeper community engagement that enhances the viability and success of a project. At the same time, collective decision-making contributes to the viability and sustainability of urban agriculture initiatives. An important parameter in the sustainability and success of an urban farming project is inclusiveness, as well as the development and maintenance of social ties between different groups of people. The higher the inclusiveness, the deeper the communication, relationships and ties between citizens, and the source of social support towards a project. For the success of a community-based urban farming project, people from different backgrounds, income levels, ethnicities, races and abilities, need to be involved from the beginning. Residents should be involved in decision-making, and their opinions and needs should be taken seriously into account in the development of the project. As with any community-based activity, the best results occur when community members identify the priorities and set the goals for the project, and then work together and with community partners to achieve those goals. Without community buy-in, urban agriculture projects face substantial hurdles. Now, let's take a look at an example regarding the involvement of the whole city's communities for the transformation of the city towards urban farming.
I'm from Detroit. A city that in the 1950s was the world's industrial giant. With a population of 1.8 million people and 140 square miles of land and infrastructure used to support this booming Midwestern urban center. And now today, just a half a century later, Detroit is the poster child for urban decay. Currently in Detroit, our population is under 700,000, of which 84% are African American, and due to decades of disinvestment and capital flight from the city into the suburbs, there is a scarcity in Detroit. There is a scarcity of retail, more specifically, fresh food retail, resulting in a city where 70% of Detroiters are obese and overweight. And they struggle. They struggle to access nutritious food that they need to stay healthy, that they need to prevent premature illness and diet-related diseases. Far too many Detroiters live closer to a fast food restaurant, or to a convenience store, or to a gas station where they have to shop for food than they do a full-service supermarket. And this is not good news about the city of Detroit, but this is the news and the story that Detroiters intend to change. No, I'm gonna take that back. This is the story that Detroiters are changing through urban agriculture and food entrepreneurship. Here's the thing. Because of Detroit's recent history, it now finds itself with some very unique assets, open land being one of them. Experts say that the entire cities of Boston, San Francisco, and the borough of Manhattan will fit in the land area of the city of Detroit. They further go on to say that 40 square miles of the city is vacant. That's a quarter to a third of the city. And with that level of emptiness, it creates a landscape unlike any other big city. So Detroit has this: open land, fertile soil, proximity to water, willing labor, and a desperate demand for healthy, fresh food. All of this has created a people-powered grassroots movement of people in Detroit who are transforming this city to what was the capital of American industry into an agrarian paradise. You know, I think out of all the cities in the world, Detroit, Michigan is best positioned to serve as the world's urban exemplar of food security and sustainable development. In Detroit, we have over 1,500, yes, 1,500 gardens and farms located all across the city today. And these aren't plots of land where we're just growing tomatoes and carrots either. You understand, urban agriculture in Detroit is all about community because we grow together. So these spaces are spaces of conviviality. These spaces are places where we're building social cohesion as well as providing healthy, fresh food to our friends, our families, and our neighbors. Come walk with me. I want to take you through a few Detroit neighborhoods, and I want you to see what it looks like when you empower local leadership and when you support grassroots movements of folks who are moving the needle in low-income communities and people of color. Our first stop, Oakland Avenue Farms. Oakland Avenue Farms is located in Detroit's North End neighborhood. Oakland Avenue Farms is transforming into a 5-acre landscape combining art, architecture, sustainable ecologies, and new market practices. In the truest sense of the word, this is what agriculture looks like in the city of Detroit. I've had the opportunity to work with Oakland Avenue Farms in hosting Detroit grown and made farm-to-table dinners. These are dinners where we bring folks onto the farm. We give them plenty of time and opportunity to meet and greet and talk to the grower. And then they're taken on a farm tour. And then afterwards, they're treated to a farm-to-table meal prepared by a chef who showcases all the produce on the farm right at the peak of its freshness. We do that. We bring people onto the farm. We have folks sitting around the table because we want to change people's relationship to food. We want them to know exactly where their food comes from that is grown on that farm that's on the plate. My second stop, I'm going to take you on the west side of Detroit to the Brightmoor neighborhood. Now, Brightmoor is a lower income community in Detroit. There's about 13,000 residents in Brightmoor. They decided to take a block by block by block strategy. So within the neighborhood of Brightmoor, you'll find a 21-block micro neighborhood called Brightmoor Farmway. Now, what was a notorious, unsafe, underserved community has transformed into a welcoming, beautiful, safe farmway, lush with parks and gardens and farms and greenhouses. This tight-knit community also came together recently, and they purchased an abandoned building that was in disrepair and in foreclosure. And with the help of friends and families and volunteers, they were able to take down the bulletproof glass. They were able to clean up the grounds, and they transformed that building into a community kitchen, into a cafe, into a storefront. Now the farmers and the food artisans who live in Brightmoor, they have a place where they can make and sell their product. And the people in the community have some place where they can buy healthy, fresh food. Urban agriculture, and this is my third example, can be used as a way to lift up the business cooperative model. The 1,500 farms and gardens I told you about earlier, Keep Growing Detroit is a nonprofit organization that had a lot to do with those farms. They distributed last year 70,000 packets of seeds and 250,000 transplants. And as a result of that last year, 550,000 pounds of produce was grown in the city of Detroit. But aside from all of that, they also manage and operate a cooperative. It's called Grown in Detroit. It consists of about 70 farmers, small farmers. They all grow and they sell together. They grow fruits, they grow vegetables, they grow flowers, they grow herbs in healthy soil, free of chemicals, pesticides, fertilizers, genetically modified products, healthy food. And when their product is sold all over the city of Detroit in local markets, they get 100% of the proceeds from the sale. In a city like Detroit, where far too many African Americans are dying as a result of diet-related diseases, restaurants, they have a huge role to play in increasing healthy food access in the city of Detroit. Culturally appropriate restaurants. Enter Detroit Vegan Soul. Yes, we have a vegan soul food restaurant in the city of Detroit. Yes, yes. Detroit Vegan Soul is providing Detroiters the opportunity to eat more plant-based meals. And they've received an overwhelming response from Detroiters. Detroiters are hungry for culturally appropriate, fresh, delicious food. That's why we built a nonprofit organization called Food Lab Detroit to help small neighborhood burgeoning food entrepreneurs start and scale healthy food businesses. Food Lab provides these entrepreneurs incubation, hands-on education, workshops, technical assistance, access to industry experts so that they can grow and scale. They're very small businesses, but last year, they had a combined revenue of over $7.5 million, and they provided 252 jobs. Listen, these are just a few examples on how you expand opportunities so that everybody can participate and prosper, particularly those who come from neighborhoods that have been historically excluded from these types of opportunities. I know. My city is a long way from succeeding. We're still struggling. And I'm not going to stand here on the stage and tell you that all of Detroit's problems and all of Detroit's challenges are going to be solved through urban agriculture. I'm not going to do that. But I will tell you this. Urban agriculture has Detroit thinking about its city now in a different way. A city that can be both urban and rural. And yes, I know these stories are small. These stories are neighborhood-based stories, but these stories are powerful. They're powerful because I'm showing you how we're creating a new society left vacant in the places and the spaces that was disintegration from the old. They're powerful stories because they're stories about love. The love that Detroiters have for one another, the love that we have for our community, the love that we have for Mother Earth. But more importantly, these stories are stories on how devastation, despair, decay never ever got the last word in the city of Detroit. When hundreds of thousands of people left Detroit, and they left us for dead, those who stayed had hope. They held on to hope. They never gave up. They always kept fighting. And listen, I know transforming a big city like Detroit to one that is prosperous, one that's functional, one that's healthy, one that's inclusive, one that provides opportunities for all. I know it's tough. I know it's challenging. I know it's hard. But I just believe that if we start strengthening the social fabric of our communities, and if we kickstart economic opportunities in our most vulnerable neighborhoods, it all starts with healthy, accessible, delicious, culturally appropriate food. Thank you very much. Thank you.